Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Had to get my second video out today. Had to give my daily update from Micron because you know what? We're seeing the tale of two tapes right now with Micron. We see the tape of what happened during regular trading hours. I'm going to show you that in a second. But what we're seeing in the after hours is a completely different tape. So we're seeing the risk sentiment overall. I think the risk across the board has shifted in the after hours. I'm going to explain why. There's some news articles that have come out. I know my headline says war versus market. I think in this case, what appears to be an escalation of war is actually helping to tamp down some of the risk, fear, and anxiety that's in the market. We're going to talk about all of that in this video. We're going to look at the indicators that support that as well. We're also going to take a look across the sea and see what the markets look like in Japan and what it could show us or what it could help tell us about what we could see tomorrow when the opening bell rings on Wednesday morning. If you haven't done it already, hit like, hit subscribe. If you get value out of this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, take 2 seconds now and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you in the community. Let's dive in. Let's take a look at what Micron did today. Let's jump over and take a look at the candle report, the 5-minute candle pattern chart like we always do. And here's the opening wick right here. This one, you could see the one with the long wick on both sides, kind of a little indecision in both ways. We saw a little bit of bearish and a little bit of bullish pattern in that opening 5-minute window. In fact, we reached the high for the day in that 5-minute window. Micron reached up to, almost $405 a share in that first 5-minute window, closed that 5-minute window at 401. So it was down. We opened up at 401.34. It closed 415. So just slightly down overall. But the next 10 minutes, this was a definite gap and trap moment here in the first 15 minutes of the market activity today for Micron. So it reached its high and then shot all the way down 10 minutes later to about 391 was the low. Look at the volume underneath. It was the strongest volume sentiment throughout the entire day. So this was the most conviction for Micron from a volume perspective all day long in that first 15 minutes. The stock found some support. It rallied back up. It pushed the 400 level again, right just after the 10 o'clock hour, and then fell back. It fought resistance again, and then kind of slipped into this sideways consolidation pattern that, like we saw yesterday, somebody mentioned on the channel, and I kind of agreed with, and I saw the comment, is like, this stock is starting to look like NVIDIA with this sideways consolidation. No real conviction one way or the other, just moving sideways for a long period of time. I'd like to see that stop. I know you would as well. I'd like to see this sideways get a lot higher. I'd be a lot happier if we're moving sideways up around the 450, 460 range than we are sitting around the 390 range, 400 range. So we need to hopefully break that sideways consolidation soon. But I will say, if I take any optimism away from today, and let me scroll over and give you the final view here. Any optimism away from today, it is the rounded bottom pattern that we see here on the board. You can see right about the midday overall, the price action, it changed, the narrative changed. We actually formed a perfect rounded bottom there. This tends to be more of a high conviction pattern. And you can see after that rounded bottom, we started to find some rally. That's a great sign for Micron to just see this sustained kind of upward trend where we're having a acceleration or an ascending pattern moving up. It's nice to see. That's probably the most conviction we've seen in a couple of days overall. Now, the volume, if you look down below, was lower than the morning crash that we saw earlier. So the price, it was getting higher, but it wasn't really based, I would say, if looking at those volume bars, on real strong conviction of buying. But I'll take it. It's still buying. The buyers were outdoing the sellers at this point and was moving the stock up in the right way. And if you look down below at the RSI, you can see it trailing. When we had that really high conviction in the morning, you can see here, it's probably the only time that the stock got into that sign of being oversold or overbought. In this case, it was dipped down into the high 20s, signifying that it's being oversold. But then the rest of the day, the stock kind of continued to move in that neutral pattern from an RSI perspective. And, you didn't really see a bounce one way or another. But I do say at the close, we started to move towards a positive bid at the close. You can see on the far side of the screen, really nice rally, a bit of an exhaustion at the end, those last few candles. But I'd say that's the whole market today. We saw all of our indexes, a lot of stocks just have a struggle to finish. There was some anxiety, some fear that entered the market at the end. I think there was concerns that oil prices were going to go up. There was concerns around headlines that were saying that the mixed reports we were receiving from President Trump's administration, as well as the Iranian leaders, mentioning that they have not been in talks, that there was some conflicting headlines that caused some confusion in the market. And I think we saw just a bit of a slide at the end overall. But the biggest part we saw today was what's happening in the after hours. And if you look right now at the stock in the after hours, you can see it on your graph. The part on the right over here, the gradient area, is the after area. And the part in the middle, it's kind of more of a solid color. That's the trading hours. But if you look at the stock today, down by 2%, but we're up by, almost full percent in the after hours, pushing back up over to 400. We did see this stock in the first 30 minutes after the market jumped $10 up to 404. It's come back a little bit now, just under 400. But if we look at the way the stock ended in those last few hours, we're seeing a nice, it wasn't overwhelming conviction, but it was a nice ascending pattern. And now with this story that's happening in the after hours right now, pushing up to 1%, I think this also can give us a bit of conviction and some optimism going into the market tomorrow. But let's take a look at another few signals that I want to see. So one, I want to jump over and look at the VIX. The VIX closed today just under 27. If you look to the right of that, you can see the daily range. We are up pushing 28. I think that this is going to come down tomorrow, and everything that we're seeing in the headlines right now, it's probably going to shoot back down to 26 into the 25s, signaling that we're starting to see some relief. But also look at the crude. This piece, it's like unbelievably lower than we saw just 2 days ago. Remember, 2 days ago, we were at about 114. It was at 95 earlier. Let me close that. It was at 95 earlier. It's at 96 now, down almost 8% today. But just look at how it's over the last week, 5 days or so, where we were up here at 117, 118, now down to 96. That is also a positive sign that fear, anxiety is starting to lower in the market. That's a great thing for tech stocks. It'll be a great thing for memory. It'll be a great thing for the market overall. So we can hopefully shift back into this bull run that we need to get back to. And if we look at the Nikkei 225, you can see, up 2.5% right now in their trading hours. We saw this down to about 51 the other day. It's well up over 53. They're kind of 53.5 right now. So this is a solid sign for us. It's not a perfect correlation of the Nikkei 225 in our markets, but it's another signal. If we see that their kind of tech sector and their tech stocks are doing well, it often is a positive sign for how we'll open the market as well. So this is another, just a signal for us that gives us an indicator that we could see a nice opening tomorrow morning when the bell rings. So let's jump back and just talk about what happened in the after hours. Why did we see that $10 jump in the after hours? The stock closed, I said, down by 2.2% and then surged almost 3% after the 30 minutes after the bell. I think it was because we saw two different headlines that came out. I actually wrote them down today when I saw them because I was wondering how the market would interpret these headlines. On one side, we saw President Trump say they are brokering a peace deal with Iran, that it's in the works. There's a 15-point plan. If they can reach and show that they can meet all 15 of these points, the conflict will come to an end and we'll be able to reach peace. And on the other hand, we saw 1,500 airborne troops, 82nd Airborne troops, get deployed to the Middle East. I was curious to see how the market would interpret those two conflicting stories. Because on one side, when you say peace, and the other side, you see escalation of more troops coming in. And so I clearly, at this point, with all of what we're seeing in the after hours, all of the indicators from the VIX, the oil, everything that's going on, the Nikkei, everything is dropping in the right way or moving in the right direction. So clearly the market is seeing this as a peace through strength move. The deployment of those 1,500 troops is not being seen as an escalation of war. That was my concern, but clearly it's not being seen that way by the market. It's being seen now as more of a strategic floor to protect the Strait of Hormuz. If the 82nd Airborne can secure those shipping lanes, the war premium on logistics vanishes. The market is betting on that deal. It's betting that the troops will provide security for that deal to happen. They'll provide the security necessary to get that strait open. And if that happens, the massive risk on sentiment or the kind of what we're feeling in the semiconductor area, what we're feeling with the tech stocks, that should vanish. And we should see the pressure release, and we should see capital move back to those stocks overall. So I think when you put it all together, the narrative for me tomorrow, in my opinion, what I think we could see, I think when you take a look at that camel chart that we looked at it earlier, it was deceptively bullish. We had a bullish rounded bottom and a finish to the day. There's plenty of room to run. If you look at the RSI still being in a neutral segment segment throughout the finish of the day, and the geopolitical de-risking event with what we saw with the airborne troops being deployed to the area, I think the whales right now probably use that morning dip to shake out the weak hands who are afraid of the CapEx spend. So Micron isn't just recovering, if you want my opinion. I think we could see a strong morning tomorrow overall. I think we have to watch that 406 level. If we're able to come out in the morning and get over the 405, 406 level, remember right now we're about 400. If we can break that 400 and get back up into the 405 level, I think we very well could release the pressure that we're feeling on Micron, and we could have a good run for tomorrow throughout the day. Hopefully start to push towards that 410, 412 level again. That would be a strong day for Micron. That's what I would like to see. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you would like to see for the stock. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you on the next one.